Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's 1:10. I could wait a minute and cheat and we'll have the angel synchronicities, but Mama T won't play games with the angels. Here we go. Bing! 1:11. Okay, while we're here, those of you who are so inclined can make a wish. If you like to play with the etheric realms and have a bit of fun and a bit of mischief, why not? It's kind of funny that it just clicked onto 1:11 because I saw 1:11 in the early hours of this morning and I saw 11:11 last night, and I've been kind of hammered by my angels in recent days, and I've had a very spiritual time. I feel very open, very, very open wide in all my meridians, and part of that is I danced 2 nights and kicked myself actually out of my body and had downloads. Well, I know I had downloads, I just don't consciously know what they are, but I'm wide open like a 1,000-petaled lotus right now, and it's a beautiful thing, but it's also a little bit confronting and a little bit astonishing. So I've just come home from the hospital not long ago. I had my urodynamics testing. Oh dear goddess, I won't go into details about that because it's not all that pleasant. It's a bit icky and a bit personal, but I guess if you're curious you can Google it to find out what kind of ordeal I just went through. But it had to happen so that my beautiful urologist could work out where I'm actually at with my my bladder anomalies. And as I keep saying to my worthy, beautiful, talented, amazing, handsome, clever doctors, I am an anomaly, and they don't quite know how to take that and think I'm confabulating. No, they get to see the anomaly in real world with all my signalling right up there on the computer. I actually could see my urologist kind of, her eyes go a bit like this, and she explained to me that it's a bit unusual, the contractions and the slow flow state. I said, that's only been happening for a week, doctor, since I started on the solifenacin. She said, yes, it's designed to make the bladder contract more and hold larger volumes, but she said it's a bit odd that it was such a low flow rate. I said, yes, I've noticed that in the past week, and I was a little bit worried about it actually. She sort of frowned, and of course they don't tell you everything when you're the patient, you know. I'm sure they'll be having fun scratching their heads, working it all out between themselves, you know. Anyway, there's nothing of too major concern. I'm not like, you know, I'm not having to have any, you know, extreme interventions. Thank the gods. She said it just tells her that Botox might not be a good idea to put into my bladder because of the slow flow rate means that I'm at risk of retention, and which can be quite difficult to manage. So I'm glad about that, in a way, that my intuition told me that I don't really want Botox. And it's partly mind over matter because I don't want poisons put into my body. I want to be a fully organic, fully functioning human woman on this planet, not overloaded with any more toxins than I already am, with all the toxins that are already in our environment and in our food and in our water, and then having to pile on more toxins to counteract the other toxic load, to me feels quite untenable and dangerous. So maybe it's my spirit that deliberately fought against that, as I do people. Maybe it's in my imagination though, because you know the science. I could see the rhythm and the flow on the computer, and although I don't know what that all exactly means, I could see it right in front of my eyes that I was not doing naughty things, but not behaving like completely congruent with other humans on this planet. I'm not saying that I'm alien or not human. I just say that my body just, it has its own gnosis and it does its own thing. And to be honest, I'm a little bit proud of her because that's how she kept me alive all this time, obeying her own rhythms and her own gnosis. So this is going to be a very weird video because I've had a very unusual day, apart from the urodynamics testing, which was great to have that done, get that out the way now. And now they can see scientifically where I'm at, and my beautiful doctor said she doesn't need to see me next week. She'll see me in 2 months and see how I'm reacting to the solifenacin after my body's, as it has adjusted to it. She said, I can see you getting sleep now. I said, yes, I'm getting 6 hours sleep, which is not a lot. I'm used to like 10 to 12 hours sleep when I'm not travelling all that well. So 6 hours sleep is actually also subpar for me, but when I've been existing on a lot less than that, 6 hours sleep is nirvana. I've got big bags under my eyes because of my anxiety about having to be, have catheters put into my body today, 2 catheters. I didn't sleep all that much last night, and I was a bit of a wreck actually, and peed all night long, and which is anxiety based as well. And man, I'm thinking I might actually have to go and get some CBD oil to calm down the anxiety because I don't want to go back on psych meds. They just poisoned my entire system and didn't actually work, but I'm starting to consider that I may need something to quell this grinding away, just under consciousness, chronic anxiety, and CBD oil would be the shot, would be the thing to do actually, to be honest, but it's expensive and I'm such an anomaly it might not even work, Anyway, it's something I've got to think about, how I'm going to just settle myself down, although I may settle myself down a bit naturally now that this bladder drug is working on my bladder and allowing me longer periods of rest. And when you get more rest, the anxiety eases back off a little bit, and potentially I may get a whole lot better. That's why she's waiting to see me for 2 months. So it's all good, people. It's all very, very good. So I'm going to start reading from today's readings of even date, and I wrote quite a bit today because I had a few astonishing encounters or almost encounters on my bus trip. So it's going to be weird readings today, so bear with me because I'm in a hyper arousal kind of state from lack of sleep and having been cracked open a bit with my wild dance for both nights. And as I said, I did that quite consciously and willingly, so there's no accidents in the universe, people. I've learnt to trust in my gods and trust in my body, which she's a strange little creature, this hobbit body. But anyway, it's all good, people. It's all very, very good. I don't need approval from anyone. I just need to ride this life out to its ultimate end when the gods decree what the gods decree. In the meantime, I'm going to enjoy every day and every moment, and things are opening up for me in magical and astonishingly spiritual ways, and even I can see it now. There's no denying it. The love that's being flowed to me by my beautiful friends, and the love that was flowed to me today by strangers on the bus. It's I don't know what other word to say, but delightful and astonishing and unusual. So today of even date, 27th of March 2024, I wrote 4:42 a.m. I have little sleep and had to pee hourly due to anxiety about the procedure tomorrow. It's going to be a quirky bus trip to the Mata. Me sleep deprived to the point of insanity. Not that I'm insane, people. I just mean that I move in and out of altered states when I'm extremely sleep deprived. It's not actually insane, it's a coping mechanism. I hope I make it there in one piece. And I had a few lovely comments from my Facebook friends. Brecky wrote, "You'll make it there. Do you have oxazepam?" I think she means Valium or some similar type tranquilizer. I usually use a tranquilizer, say 2 smiley face, when I had my MRI. I'll do it again if I have to have the cystoscopy. Otherwise, I just can't relax. I can stand pain, but not anxiety. And I replied, I finally crammed 2 hours sleep. Arg, but I will make it. Mind over matter. I'm a very powerful spirit when I set my mind to something. And she replied, she's a dear sweet friend in the Netherlands. Good luck, sweetie. And another friend who lives here in Australia wrote, Refuah Shlama Tanya, which means get well soon, or, have a great healing kind of thing. She sent me a beautiful meme of, I'll show it to you. I can show it to you. It's a very Jewish thing. A can of chicken soup. She's Jewish like me. And I replied, thank you for the wonderful thoughts, Rachel. So I'm writing this at 4:42 a.m. and they were all awake. Well, Brecky was awake because it's daytime in the Netherlands, but I've just realised Rachel's, I think she's in Sydney or New South Wales somewhere. She was up early that morning too. Yeah, unusual. So I continue writing, reading, writing. 9:03 a.m. waiting for the bus. Since I was not sleeping anyway, I got ready and left early. I will chill out at the coffee club until it's time for my appointment at 10:15 a.m. My anxiety is through the roof, but that's normal. I am healing. I drag the word out, healing. And with the right treatment, I will get exponentially better and better. And in the third person, so I don't know if Spirit was actually talking to me, if I just chose to write in the third person, but as I said, I enter altered states when I'm sleep deprived and under extreme anxiety situations. So then I added in Yiddish, sei gesund, Tanya le, that means be well, little one, little Tanya. You've got this. And then I posted a photo of myself, which I often do when I'm going to the hospital and battling, having a battle of my own will to get myself organised and get to places and be professional and be present and accounted and show up and shape up and get through the process right. It takes a lot of effort mentally for me to shunt myself through things sometimes, especially when I didn't sleep last night. Well, I had a little bit of sleep, but not enough. So I wrote at the coffee club 50 minutes to kill before my appointment. I look like hell, but scraped myself together and got myself here. I was musing actually that I have to do everything alone, not having a partner. I guess having a partner would be annoying, having to get them to take me to places and do things. I'd be a burden on them. But on the other side of things, I sometimes feel resentful, bitter that I have to do everything alone and struggle, and it doesn't seem fucking fair, you know. And but that's my life as I know it. I've always had to struggle alone, even when many years ago I was actually married. So it must be something, some conjunct in my horoscope that meant that I was destined to live this way. And I can complain about it being unfair as much as I like, but it hasn't changed in 59 years, this having to deal with life circumstances that are fragile, making alone and struggling, and every now and then I get pissed off about it, but it's a momentary thing because I'm used to it actually. What else is new? It's kind of fucked. Other people have so much immense support when they have life struggles, and I feel like I have to just shoulder my way through alone. Maybe one day I won't be doing life alone anymore, but on the other hand, I don't want to be, a burden to anyone, which is why I kind of keep love partnerships a little bit at arm's length, at least until my bladder's fully calmed the fuck down, so I can actually have maybe a loving, sexual, romantic, passionate, supportive, beautiful, tender, sweet partnership again, because that's what I'm actually manifesting, even though at the same time I'm kind of inviting it into my body, mind and spirit and auric field, and at the same time kind of still a little bit hesitant, because I don't want to be a burden on anyone. I want to be loved fully and vibrantly and completely and wholesomely and holistically, and did I mention sweetly? And I'm seeing it. I am seeing it in recent months, the sweetness around me. So I know it's coming, and it's a potential that could manifest. So I'm doing the work, people, on both my physical ailment at the moment, but also my spiritual, emotional, psychic work. I'm working so fucking hard, but I am being supported, It's just a wee tiny tantrum that I have to get myself to things alone and get myself home alone, but c'est la vie, babies. You come into this world alone, wet, kicking and screaming, bit cold, and you leave wet, kicking and screaming, and that is what it is. And between those two events, coming alone and going alone, we are always surrounded by immense love, even if you don't realise it, but your angels and your spirit people and your ancestors that love you, not my filthy progenitors, but the ones way, way back in time that surround me in times of difficulty. I'm never really alone. So anyway, I just decided, probably with sleep deprivation, to have a bit of a sulk about that. So I continue on. I look like hell, but scraped myself together and got myself here. As I got on the bus, some woman of similar vintage to me gave me the most beatific smile. It was bit astonishing because I'm grumpily trying to manage my book and my umbrella and climb on the bus, and I fucking hate public transport, people. It's one of my triggers, by the way. But it's more expedient and quicker and easier to take the bus to the Mater Hospital than deal with parking. So although I abhor it, it's a necessary device for me to utilise at the moment when I'm having to go to the hospital. So anyway, so as I write, she gave me the most beatific smile. Literally, she just took one look at me as I'm struggling to get on the bus, and her whole face fucking lit up like almost something supernatural. And so I was looking at her face and a bit astonished at how she was responding to me struggling to get on the bus. Thought, have I got toothpaste stuck on my face? Because sometimes when I don't sleep and I've got appointments, I forget to brush my hair, or there'll be toothpaste dripping down my dress, or some other fucking slovenly anomaly that makes me look like a psycho, right? Can be very amusing at times. So maybe she's, maybe I've forgot my bra, or anyway, briefly looked down and realised I'm okay, and so I gave her a shy smile back like this and sat down. And here's the weird thing, she turned in her seat to still look at me as though she knew me. Didn't know the lady, don't think I know the lady. Yes, I'm getting dementia and I'm literally not recognising people anymore, which would be alarming. I'm frightened of that happening, actually, to be honest. But she sort of turned and looked at me again, and then because I'm a bit introverted when I'm on public transport, I'm an anomaly, I'm an ambivert. I can be really fucking extroverted and out there and wild and in your face when I'm out dancing, for example. But in other situations, like being in public transport, I can be very closed and introverted and shut people out and literally go into my own world. Literally, quite literally, I go into Titania's realm, the land of the fairies. So, fairyland, or alternate realities. I mean, I've always been that way. It's actually in psychiatric terms called disassociation. I can just tune everyone out and just be in my own body, mind and spirit quite contentedly, not a bad disassociation like when you're escaping from a traumatic event, but just quite contentedly, peacefully in my own headspace and psychic space. So I observed this lady looking at me, and so I kind of retreated. She probably wanted to start a conversation with me, actually, but I was so fucking tired, and I'm on the bus, in the morning, getting my ass to the hospital, and, so I didn't engage. But I write here, angels in human form, lighting up my morning. Sweetness. She was sweet. She literally took one look at me and her whole face lit up like excuse the pun, like a Christmas tree. And I was sort of like taken back by that because it was unusual, Like when I go to the club or, to see my friends in the band, they know me, they've known me for many years, so they light up sometimes when they look at me. You know how when you see your friends, you're happy to see them, you light up, and that's a kind of a normal situation. But seeing strangers that I don't know in the bus light up like that kind of freaked me out a little bit. So I went into Titania's realm. But it was a sweetness, as I write here, sweetness. And Brecky responded, because I posted this up on my Facebook, because I I'm keeping record of all of this, people, because it's so potent and powerful and meaningful to me. Might seem batshit crazy to mainstream ordinary people, but my friends are like me and they get it, right? They get what vibe I'm on right now and that I'm keeping a record because it's spiritual and it's magical and it's powerful and it's beautiful. This healing that is taking place in my mind, body, spirit complex, including opening up for the first time in nearly a decade my sexuality, which not quite there yet, people, but that's also floating around me in a kind of a nebulous kind of beautiful way of like, when you're better, Tanya, and it won't be that far in the future, you'll be able to open up fully to your full sexuality, sexual expression, and to love again. But only under the circumstances, as I promised myself after the last heartache 9 years ago, I will only open up to a lover when I'm satisfied, 100% certain that he loves me as much as I love him, that it's a completely balanced and reciprocated energy transfer between that person and me. And like I say, I'm still kind of holding things back and down. Number one, I'm still not all that really well enough to engage in a sexual partnership. Well, I don't think I may be. I may be fine. I might, who knows, I might just spontaneously combust one day and impulsively just go for it. But I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm just saying that I want to be well enough that I have zero regrets and that I'm treated properly and not just used and shucked off, which is a phobia of mine because I have a long history of that happening to me in the past, people. So my future partner that I'm hoping to manifest one day in the not too distant future, I hope, because I'm loving all this vitality and vivaciousness and excitement and bliss. But the partner I open up to, I want to be certain that he values and cherishes and respects all of me and treats me with kindness and honour and is there with me, not just for one night only, a bing bam boom and bavakasha and race out of my life and leave me feeling empty and voided out. No. Won't be any more of that, people. By the will of the gods, I pray there won't be any more of that. I'm inviting and invoking the one who will cherish me and honour me and love me for the long term, for the rest of our lives together in a happy, blessed, blissful, equal, balanced, harmonious union. I've segued out of what I was reading to you about, but in this moment that feels important for me to lay it out yet again. And who am I preaching to, really? Not the choir, but my own fucking self. I'm setting that boundary to remind myself, don't make any more awful mistakes with your body, mind and spirit and soul, Tanya. You can't afford any more serious mistakes. But I'm simultaneously delighting in the love that's been flowed to me in recent months. It's been nurturing and sweet and kind and honouring and a little bit mischievous at times, because come on, we're physical beings and our bodies are made to be loved, including sexual energies as well, with the right person that, as I say, delights in you in all aspects of your being. So anyway, my beautiful Brekje, I'd like to meet Brekje in real life one day. She's in the Netherlands. So who knows? If I win lotto or some miracle like that happens, I might actually get to meet her one day, if it happened in a not too distant future. But anyway, whether I met her in 3D reality or not, she's a wonderful support to me on Facebook. She's a beautiful soul and a beautiful friend, and I'm blessed to know her even though we're only internet friends. The energy transmitted between us is just as loving and as potent as if we were sitting in a lovely cafe somewhere in Amsterdam, or I'm not even sure exactly where she lives. I think she's in Amsterdam. So what I'm saying by that is energy never lies and energy never dies, and the love you have between people either in 3D reality, real world, where you can breathe next to them and smell them and smell their hair and feel their energetic field, because you're close in physical reality, with certain people that you build up a rapport with on the internet. It can almost feel as real as if you're standing right next to each other. And I used to make the mistake many years ago. I don't do that anymore, I learnt. But I was a bit blown open spiritually many years ago when I was on heavy psych meds. So I used to make the mistake of falling in love with people's energy and 2D reality on the internet, and it would always end badly, of course, because they were game players or tricksters or liars or cheaters or married men frottering on the internet. So there'd be a few things that I would get quite upset and angry about when I was being, again, used and manipulated and played. But the energy that used to be activated sometimes between me and people that I hadn't actually met in real world felt just as real as though we were together. So, but I had to tamp that down over time because I realised it was potentially dangerous, and that's why I don't do internet dating, and I don't do I don't really fucking do any kind of dating and haven't for 30 years, but because I'm an anomaly. But specifically, it was unusual that I opened up last August to someone via my YouTube channel actually, but I was blown apart and raw with the loss of my dog, and the Tanya under normal circumstances, if someone starts frottering around me when I'm vulnerable, they usually get told almost immediately to fuck the hell off. So that too was an anomaly and probably shouldn't have happened. But that person, we had actually some very lovely chats. He was spiritual and interesting, and I liked him. Even met him in real world in person briefly. And anyway, but the trouble that comes with people who are very spiritual is they're often quite mad. I mean, I have my own brand of madness, I admit. That's why I'm on a disability pension, people. I'm sane, but I also have my own little quirks. So, and then I had another person recently, a new subscriber, trying to get all frottery with me and act like this is a fucking dating channel, which it is not. So he got very quickly nipped in the bud, because I can't be dealing with that level of stress and also absurdity and nonsense and dishonour and disrespect to my body, mind and spirit. Don't come on my channel trying to act like you're, the be all and end all. I am invoking only a real man, and by that I mean a man in 3D reality who's with me here and now, who's my man and chooses me and is loyal and faithful to me and willing and able to make a commitment to me, not immediately of course because that's ridiculous, but down the track. I'm not wanting people floating around in nebulous dream world, having to be called down from the ether, some of whom may not even be human but might actually be bots or trickster spirits or jinn. It happens on the internet, people. It's a bit like being on the internet. It's a bit like trying to talk to discarnate spirits on the Ouija board without protection, screaming, "Is there anyone there?" and opening up to every lackluster, low-life entity motherfucker in the known cosmos. I know this because I lived it many years ago. It's potentially quite harmful and dangerous. So when I'm saying I'm looking for a real man, I don't mean you have to be some macho, beer swilling, roll your sleeves up, tank top wearing, beta man from the patriarchy. I mean a real man in real life that I can see and hear and touch, and if we kiss, taste, and have a life with in reality. Dance together, play music. I don't play music, but enjoy music together if he's a musician. Or dance together, or go on outings together, actual dates together. Oh, that would be weird. I'll be a wreck if I ever get asked on a date because I haven't done it in so many years. Wasn't valued enough to be asked on a date. It's very dishonouring how I was treated over the decades. Just why every now and then I used to get suicidal, and even now I sometimes struggle with suicidal ideation when I feel like things aren't quite copacetic and kosher and aren't going in the way that I think is a respectful, honouring way. I will plunge into the fucking abyss, people. That's because of my complex PTSD. It's got nothing to do with the other person. That's just how I react to being dishonoured and disavowed and abused and neglected and abandoned and treated like I'm some kind of fucking idiot, which I am not. I'm just a very, very unusual, loving but quirky individual who deserves to be loved in healthy, constructive ways like every other human being and sentient being on this planet. Oh, here you go, Tony. You've gone on your little rantan, and the crowd's just gone wild, and the women are clapping their hands for you, and the men are probably, I don't know what the men are doing now. I don't want to think about it. Hopefully the majority of you on my channel are kind, honouring, sweet men who get what it is I'm putting down right now about what I want for a partner in my life, in the future, in the eternal now. Let's put it that way. the eternal now, from now until the rest of my life, however long the gods allow me to remain on planet Earth. I want my man to be a beautiful, soulful, kind, nurturing, if necessary, protective, although I am my own warrior goddess and usually I do protect myself quite astonishingly. It's someone that has my back, my front and my sides and is happy to be with me, that we are happy to be together. I don't want to be shucked off like a husk and blown into the wind and left for dead, like has happened to me too many times in my life history, since childhood, by the way. Anyway, I don't know why I've gone on this fucking lecture about this, but I'm sleep deprived and I've just been through a kind of a slight ordeal. Not really wasn't that bad, but it's uncomfortable having catheters put into your nether regions, just saying. Although the nurses were wonderful, wonderful women. So much love has been poured into me. So much love that I could get down on my knees and cry and prostrate myself before the Lord, but that would be a religious epiphany, a little bit going too far. Mama T has to stay grounded in this body and this reality, but it's been beautiful, people. So I continue with my readings because I'm waffling and we're already in 41 minutes in. Oh dear Goddess, I'm waffling a lot lately. That tells you I'm not well too. Hypomania from lack of sleep. It's entertaining and it's sometimes amazing, and I come up with some really interesting stuff sometimes, but it's also a sign that I'm not completely well. But Brecky wrote in response to my comment that seeing that beautiful woman on the bus literally light up, take one look at me and emanate, absolute emanate, her whole soul shining out of her body at me. Brecky wrote, I smile to strangers too when I really feel like it. It's nice to see how they light up. This is true. So I replied, yes, there are beautiful souls out in this crazy, verkachte, inverted world. I am grateful to know some of them, or to be enlightened by the glorious strangers who witness my discombobulation with such grace. What if God was one of us, just a stranger on a bus, trying to make their way home? I feel like all my spiritual meridians have been kicked wide open since the wild shamaniac dancing on the weekend. It's a tad astonishing. But I am grateful and happy. Someone is loving me and looking after me in this latest stage of my development. And I put my characteristic smiley face with lots of brackets, which by that I mean I'm jumping for joy excitedly about all the love that's flowed to me. I'm dancing in my seat, I'm ebullient, and I'm dancing for joy. It's an emoji that I made up, and there was a bit of misinterpretation about that emoji with the gentleman friend I had made last year. He interpreted that I was shaking my ass, So we stirred each other up about that actually, because I do indeed shake my ass quite vigorously when I'm in the middle of my tribal mosh. So you could interpret that emoji that way. So he stirred me up about that for a couple of months, and I mean, he got a lot of sexual pleasure out of fantasizing about my ass shaking vertically and horizontally. And oh well, boys will be boys, and it is what it is. But life goes on, people. You have to laugh. It's quite delightful. Unless you're living my psychedelic dream, and then it's delightful, but it gets a little bit weird, people. Anyway, I reserve my ass shaking and for my beautiful men and women and my beautiful bands on my Friday nights dancing, and that's about the only time you'll see me vigorously pumping my assets to the music and for the edification of the gods and for the mischief and delight of having fun with my own body, mind and spirit, and just being a bit flirty and mischievous at times with my friends. And they know it doesn't go any further than that. I go home alone to my bird, and they go home to their beautiful wives and partners, and we all live our best life. But by the gods, on Friday nights when the Tanya does her shamanic tribal mosh, we have fun and laughter and delight and joy, and it harms no one. In fact, sparks us all up a little bit as individuals, and we reintegrate into our body, minds and spirit, and we heal ourselves to the 10th generation before us. That's the whole point of my frenzied, crazy looking dance, is healing myself, and if other people heal by participating in it with me or observing it or playing beautiful music to inspire me to lose myself in the music, that too is a symbiosis and a healing. My beautiful men and my beautiful women, because Ness is the singer of Ramjet. She's a lovely woman, and she's a New Zealander like me, and she gets my vibe, I think. I'm pretty sure she gets my vibe. And I'm blessed, and I'm grateful, and I'm happy. So I'm on the bus, and I'm pondering things as I do, moving in and out of ordinary reality and between my alternate realities where I drift off. But very groundingly I wrote, I'm pondering, not for the first time, whether to buy a printer and print out all my favourite writings I have in Facebook updates. It might be more convenient than getting stuff printed out at Officeworks, which was rather expensive for 2 pages last time. $3 something for 2 sheets of paper, which one was for my passport application. $3 fucking dollars. It was insanely expensive. So anyway, so I'm musing about whether to buy a printer or not, which are also expensive. So I write out, which was rather expensive for 2 pages last time. And then of course, ink cartridges are expensive too. So I'm deliberating in my mind as I'm travelling on the bus to the Mater Hospital whether I should, extend my finances and buy a printer or not. And then I write, Mama T, that's me, is moving back into archivist mode, holding on to the shreds of life and her self-expression like a fucking life raft. I wonder what it will feel like to finally just let it all go. If I ever truly let go, maybe when I transition from my life, smiley face, because I carefully curate all my writings and guard them, and they're not published, they're just up on vocal media or Facebook, lost in the archives, and I dredge them up and I read them out to you on YouTube now as a daily practice. But they're not in book form, and I'm starting to wonder if it's time I collated everything and published it as a book. And I actually wonder if anyone would even buy the book or read the book, and whether I'll live long enough to achieve anything in life of any real import or meaning, and whether I'll live long enough to even find my true partner, my love partner, my man who adores me and values me and chooses to be with me in a daily practice for the rest of our lives together. Whether it's all nebulous and fantasies and unachievable, whether it's real. What is real? Am I even real? Are you talking to my ghost? Wait a minute. In the middle of talking to my beautiful friend Nigel who lives in New Zealand, I actually accidentally coughed, and when I coughed, I farted. I was so embarrassed. Did I cough or did I just fart anyway? It wasn't intentionally, it just slipped out of me. And we were talking, Nigel and I were talking, on camera, so you could see me blush. I hate farting in front of people. I've got all these fucking phobias and issues. It's just ridiculous. Farts happen. But I find it so humiliating when I fart, in front of anyone. And because we talk on the internet, you wouldn't normally hear my fart, but it was like really quite loud, and I was like, oh dear goddess. I'm so sorry, Nigel. It's not a romantic relationship between Nigel and I. Nigel's gay and I'm an asexual, celibate, but heterosexual, red-blooded, crazy mama-tea woman. But, we've been friends for 20 years from Pal Talk days. I was like, I've never farted in front of him before, on camera, on video. Oh dear goddess. He kind of smiled and just looked at me too and blushed. He's a gentleman. He's a lovely man. I have lovely people in my life. Some of us are a bit odd, we're oddballs, but we're lovely people. And I take delight that I'm surrounded by genuinely lovely people. But how awkward to actually have him hear my fart. Anyway, he's too much of a gentleman to mention it, but I just thought I'd run that one out, that I am actually a real person, even though sometimes I feel like a hollowed out zombie ghost. The ghost in the machine, darlings, coming to you from my sacred space to yours. Today has been an astonishingly spiritual and agape loving day. Still on the bus, and let me just say before I continue with that, the last few days have been astonishingly spiritual. I'm trying to think when the spiritual opening in my spirit started. It may have been Friday night, or it may have been a bit earlier. I'm trying to think. I became conscious of it when I went dancing on Friday, and super conscious of it when I left my body in the extreme exhaustion and the extremis of my dancing Saturday night. As I said in my video the other day, I had downloads. I said, did I not say that the next few days we're going to be intensely spiritual and astonishing. Because I know my own spirit and my own mind, how it operates. I know when I'm writing that scene, people. So I continue reading. Still on the bus, but made friends with two ladies, one of whom said she saw me on the bus coming into the city. She wasn't the same woman that lit up for me and smiled at me, but was another lady that I had looked at, was looking at me with interest, not lighting up angelically almost, but I did remember her face. So we talked about how I recognised her face, but I was off with the pixies this morning. So that means this morning on that bus riding to have my Eurodynamics test at the Mater, two women had witnessed me in a way that's quite remarkable, that this lady commented she'd seen me on the bus. Well, they had seen me in my zombie state, sleep deprived, not quite fully functioning, exhausted, the stranger on the bus trying to make her way to the hospital so I could piss on cue when required for the testing, and it's kind of fragile making, right? But the agape love was for them to comment that they had observed me it's spiritual, people. Because I'm nobody, I'm just some schlob on the bus going to the hospital and coming home. I'm nobody and I'm no one of any real importance, and yet all of a sudden I'm getting all these people lighting up for me and people saying at the club, "Are you a VIP?" No, I'm just Tanya. It's a bit astonishing, people. I haven't quite worked out what exactly is going on with that. But it's nice to be seen and heard and witnessed and acknowledged. It is. It's very astonishing, but it's beautiful too. So I'll repeat what I just said. We talked about how I had recognised her face, but I was off with the pixies this morning. I said, where I go to in my head, the weather's always perfect, because it was pouring with rain coming home, and everyone is happy, and we are playing joyfully. The women said, "Ooh, can we come along?" I said, "Of course, my darlings. You are welcome in my world any time you like, but unfortunately you will likely always be broke, unemployable, and off with the pixies." Then I giggled, and their faces slumped in on themselves when they realised I was basically saying, you enter my alternate reality at your own risk, because you have to be grounded in reality to be a fully functioning, successful humanoid on planet Earth. Titania's realm is a wonderful space to be in, but it's not always productive, and it doesn't bring any money in on the table, and means you spend a lot of your life alone and brutalized and rejected by people you thought would love you but didn't really love you, and that was all delusion and illusion, some fucked up sadistic game too, which, by the way, I'm just about to lose my shit. I'm just on the edge of it, because I'm wanting a love partnership so much, but I'm terrified of it not manifesting in a healthy, honouring way again. And I have to rein it back in, because that is a fear, not an irrational fear, but it is a fear and a doubt that does not need to be brought to the table right now. I've only ever been shown sweetness and kindness in the past 7 months from my beautiful friends whom I value deeply. So I'm holding it in a holding pattern, if that makes sense. Breathe, Tanya. So I saw these beautiful women's faces slump on themselves with the disappointment that my world is not always quite so ideal after all, because it means you skirt your own discombobulation and bordering on at times, if I allowed it, could slip into madness. But I don't allow it because I love my mind. I love my beautiful, creative, wild, carefree, joyous, self-determined, hard-won mind that I've been in those realms before on hefty psych meds when I was not integrated and I was living the zombie life. So I warned them, you can come into my world anymore, but it can have consequences that are not anything like you thought it might be. Just like in the mythology, when you enter fairyland, do not partake of their food or their drink, or you will forever be trapped there in their world and can't return to our human 3D reality on planet Earth. But to be fair, more and more, those worlds are merging, and the reason I believe that that is happening, which is why I'm working very hard at keeping my sanity and remaining sanguine gnosis and staying untrammeled by bioengineered products and trying to avoid the Botox as well, which it looks like I have a reprieve at the moment. Looks like it may not be the right drug for me. So fucking yay. So I don't want to slip my body out into further poisoning and lose my hard-won, whittled down, ground down sanity, which to me is more precious than all the diamonds and jewels and gold and platinum and uranium, plutonium and on Earth. So I fought hard to get me back, and it is kind of a tragedy that my bladder decided to slide away on me in the last 8 years. But I'm fighting hard to get me fully back, fully innovated and activated, so I can have my loving man. And who knows, by some miracle, I don't know how that would happen, find the resources to actually travel around the world with my beautiful loving man too, if it's something he was interested in at the appointed time. Titania's realm. It's a powerful, powerful place to be in. But you're welcome to come into it any time, because it's not actually mine. It's the fairy realm. It's the interdimensional realm where all our dreams can be manifested in the most beautiful, honouring, loving ways, with harm to none and competition with none. So it is done. But I have to come back to ordinary reality and scrape myself together as I did this morning to get to the hospital, right? Literally scrape myself together like a titanium woman or altered beast in that Sega game, calling myself back down to reality. Anyway, I then continued after telling them that the potential would be they'll always be broke and unemployable and off with the pixies. That was a bit dark and a bit mean of me, I suppose. but I wanted to enumerate that if I'm not there, I'm just not there, and you have to love me when I'm not there, because I'm interdimensional and I'm often not fucking there. And part of it is disassociation at times, and part of it is actually quite healthy, and I'm actually just retreating into myself to keep myself safe and comfortable, because I'm going through something at that point of time, like getting myself to a hospital appointment that I knew was going to be a bit awkward and a bit embarrassing and a bit uncomfortable. So I had to draw into myself, which if I'd gone into that level of detail with those wonderful women on the bus, they would have completely understood that it's actually a safety mechanism for me, and they would have been okay with it. But I didn't want to go into that much level of intimacy describing my health issues on a bus. Yet ironically, I have no problem discussing it on YouTube for the entire world to hear and witness and potentially laugh at or get sexually stimulated by it. So this is where I am. Sometimes I can be a little bit hypocritical and a little bit nuts. But anyway, I said, it's not so bad. Every now and then I am present and accounted for, fully functioning and self-aware. Then I laughed again. Posties just put something in my letterbox. I told them that I would love to travel to all the sacred sites, but as I disappear into my own little world, it would probably be very stressful, getting lost all the time. Imagine me climbing the mountain to Machu Picchu, all discombobulated because I can't find the way there. I'd go crazy. Lol. But the women encouraged me, lol means laughing out loud, by the way. But the women encouraged me that I can armchair travel on the internet, where the places are always beautiful and sunny and perfect, because the photographers always take photos of these spaces in the most perfect, weather and the most perfect alignments. It's kind of cheating a bit and robbing you of the real lived experience of being there on a pissing rainy day to day with all the humidity and, but then you'd have smell-o-vision and you'd feel the ley lines under your feet and your soul would vibrate and you'd get the full spiritual, physical, metaphysical experience, which is why I actually do want to travel to those places. But it would cost at least probably $1 million. I don't know what it would cost these days, with accommodation and good food and drink and conviviality of people around you and, travelling to and from and then wanting to be there for more than a few hours or a day to really soak up the experience. All of that costs lots and lots of money, people. So it's my psychedelic dreaming that's never going to go anywhere. Let's be real. Let's be in real world right now. Fuck the real world. So disappointing. But anyway, I smiled and said, oh yes, I already do that and see the sights in their most perfect states. Matter of fact, in my mind, I'm there right now. Machu Picchu and Stonehenge. We all had to giggle. Life is beautiful, even with my very furious, spasming bladder right now. Oh, it's calmed down a little bit now. I've actually got kind of pain in my liver though, which is weird. It's kind of dull ache higher up, but it was awful coming home on the bus, having my bladder spasming as if it wants to pee when I knew there was nothing in it. It was just having some kind of fit about being invaded by the catheter and being pumped full of liquid externally. It was still throwing a tantrum for about half an hour after I got home. And now it's kind of grinding away, like it's no longer doing this, but it's like, so, fuck you, Mama T, stop interfering with me, bitch, you know? Like, the human body is an amazing thing. It does talk to itself and tells you when it's not happy with the various organs. And I had that experience when I caught COVID, and that energy was going from organ to organ to organ, trying to decide where it was going to attach itself to. And eventually, spiritual process, I told it to fuck the hell off and get away from me, and it did. It left my body completely. So you do have a say spiritually and physically on what happens to your body. I only submitted to this testing today because it was important, so they could see whether Botox was going to be a good option or not. And now we know that it's not a good option. We can all relax. Love you, my beautiful one that wanted to pay for my Botox. We can all chill the hell up now. Solifenacin at $19 a script, as opposed to the Mirabegron that didn't work at $66 a script, which was going to be painful, by the way. 2:22 p.m. and my video recording is at 1:11 p.m. Angel synchronicities slamming me every which way today. The last few days have been angelic and powerful. Something is shifting for me in my world, and perhaps my true loving partner is going to claim me soon as his own and let me know in no uncertain terms, because it's I'm being slammed with synchronicities. So I know when that happens, something amazingly astonishing is about to happen. And sometimes it's not a good thing either. Sometimes it's a heartache or a betrayal, like fucking being slammed by a train. But not this time, babies. This time it's something magical and beautiful and loving and astonishing. But I'm not applying pressure to anyone. I'm just conscious that something's shifting for me in the most magical and astonishing way, like finding out that this drug is working on me and is the best choice for now. That gives me a chance to heal myself and get proper sleep and invite my gorgeous, sexy, talented, intelligent, sweet, sensitive, loving person to come into my life, whoever that person might be, if that's what he wants to do. It's free will, people. But I'm sensing the potential, and I'll have to rein it in, because I might be kidding myself. Let me read that again. Sorry, I'm drifting. Can you see me drifting in and out? This is what sleep deprivation does to me, and how my body, mind and spirit copes with it. I'm not always like this. Usually I'm very present indeed. But I knew today was going to be difficult because of the anxiety and the intensity and the lack of sleep. So anyway, I repeat that last paragraph again. Life is beautiful even with my very furious, spasming bladder right now. laughing out loud. It did not enjoy its violations of its own autonomy during the urodynamics test. The nurses and my urologist were quite wonderful to me, however. They really were loving and kind and sweet. The Tanya is feeling seen and heard and loved. Delightful. So I'm not going to say the name of the nurse because it probably was meant to be a kind of a private thing, so I'm not sure if it's a boundary violation to share the story, so I won't name names, but if she should stumble across my video, she'll know that I'm repeating what we spoke about today during my preparation for the procedure. So there were two lovely, young women nurses in the room with me, and they asked me how I was feeling, and I said, oh well, as usual, in awkward situations that are often uncomfortable, I'm going with the flow, which is a funny thing to say because the flow of my urine was about to be tested, and literally I really was about to be flowing and having my flow measured. So going with the flow was quite a poignant statement. And so one of the nurses turns to me, lovely young woman, younger than me. They would have been in their mid-30s. She said to me, my husband got that as a tattoo recently, going with the flow. She said it was his brother's tattoo that he had done, and she said the funny thing about it was he died in the last floods that we had. Her husband's brother had died, and he had this tattoo on him of going with the flow. And she said it's very dark, but she said my husband said I'm the only one that can joke about this. She said, but his brother had this tattoo on him going with the flow, and then rather ironically drowned in the last major floods we had. So I looked at her in astonishment, and I said, yes, in Yiddish we say, from your lips to God's ears, and one must be very careful about what statements we make before the gods, about our words and the energy we put into them. Oh, God, I'm getting a real ache in my liver, and my liver's got nothing to do with that bladder performance we had today, so I don't know what that's about. But anyway, I might just grab a drink of water because I'm supposed to flush out with water lest I get a UTI. I'll be back one moment. One moment. Sorry about that. I really have to nurture myself a little bit right now because I'm the only one that can do that. Water is life, people. H2O. Where was I going with the flow? Right, so so the nurse said to me, it was very, very ironic, and only my husband can make a joke about that. And I said, oh, I get it. I get why that's actually hilarious, but yes, that's his private little joke. So she said, anyway, because his brother that died that way, going literally with the flow, in memory of him, my husband decided to get the tattoo done. But she said the original tattoo that his brother had, the tattooist, had put the F and the L too close together. So it looked like when you read it that it said going with the how. And I laughed and I said, there's nothing worse than a bad fucking tattoo. And she nodded and she said, so when my husband got it done, he asked the tattooist could he make sure that the F and the L were a little bit further apart so it was more legible and actually said flow and not how. And we laughed about it, right? And I said, oh, well, here I am going with the flow too. And anyway, then a little bit later, a few moments later, my beautiful, talented, brilliant female private urologist, but I got to see her through the public system today. So the expense for dose treatment was on the Australian government and not being borne by my beautiful doctors, doctor. And I was happy about that too because I don't want to be a burden on him, even though he says he's more than willing to pay for treatment. It's not his burden to carry actually. But I love him for the support he's given me in recent months. Well, not just recent months, 13 years of therapy, people, as well. But anyway, so my beautiful female urologist walks into the room. I said, is that you, doctor? Because I'm lying on the bed in a very compromised position with tubes going up into my bladder and another area we won't discuss. It's all very humbling. And I said, is that you, doctor? She said, yes. She says, how are you, Tanya? How are you doing? I said, I'm going with the flow. And the nurses are trying not to crack up. She said, and my urologist bursts out laughing. She says, what a perfectly apt thing to say, and how delightful and how funny. And I said, well, actually, doctor, I'm just paraphrasing and going full circuit on what the nurses and I were just discussing a few minutes ago, and we've come full circle now, and I've just rounded that conversation off perfectly and for your benefit. I said, you'll have to ask the nurses what it was we were chatting about later on, So she nodded. She's on the business end of the process, setting up, the computer and performing her function as a urologist. So, wonderful young woman. I feel such a failure compared to all these astonishingly high-achieving women who are scientists and doctors and urologists and nurses, and then there's me, the poor schmuck, sitting there with tubes going in and out of me with my legs in the weird yoga position, the frog position, legs wide apart, feet pulled into me in that froggy position, feeling deeply vulnerable, thinking about how I'm going with the flow, but I'm also an inadequate universal schmuck, and trying not to go a little bit hysterical, to be honest. It's a strange way of existing in this world, but anyway. But as I said, the love flowing to me and the support and the potential healing and the grace and the compassion and the tolerance for my weird, quirky attitudes and my weird, quirky ways of processing everything was so heartfelt and sweet. So I appreciate it, my beautiful doctors and nurses today. So I just wanted to share that little anecdote that the nurse shared with me about going with the flow. And yes, indeed, we must remain conscious of our manifestations, that they are indeed for our highest good and our most beneficial outcome. And all my dreaming of travelling the sacred sites in physical reality would involve lots and lots of money, so it's an impossible dream. and all my dreaming of a truly, deeply honouring, passionate, romantic, tender, sincere, loyal, faithful, sexy, gorgeous love partnership has to land in a way that is actually good for both of us and all our friends and family and community and tribe, business associates, so that it doesn't end up a fucking disaster where one or other of us ends up drowning or flowing in effluent or horror or something that wasn't actually what we wanted from life. Just saying. I guess that's what I mean by all of that. Maybe do I make sense? Am I even alive? Am I even here? Hang on a minute. I think I'm here. 27th of March 2023. We're 1 hour and 26 minutes in, so go and make yourself lunch or dinner or have a cup of tea. It's going to be a long bloody video again. I'm sorry, but it's my self-expression, and you're more than entitled to turn me off at any given time. You don't have to sit through these long, berserker, meandering videos. But if you do and you glean something from it, I was going to joke and say like and subscribe, but I already inflict myself on you anyway for free, so you're not honour bound to support me in any meaningful way. But I hope you glean something from my videos and that it's beneficial in some small way to someone out there, someone maybe going through similar experiences as me, or someone who vibes with me in some meaningful way and completely understands where I'm at right now. So anyway, in 2023 I wrote, I'm not liking this grinding pain in my liver. It's odd. It's definitely higher up. Right. Probably referred pain because my bladder stopped spasming, but now it's probably sending messages everywhere else to say, fuck you, I won't. How does that song go? Fuck you, I will do what I want to. I won't do what you want me to do. Fuck you, I'll do whatever I want. Words to that effect. That's my spirit, people. Doesn't like being interfered with or invaded or altered in any real way. Decades of defiance, holding myself together since infancy has created this anomaly, people. Anyway, in 2023 I wrote, today I melted 0.825 silver chains, 50 of them, because I had a whole lot of old market stock from my mother, and they were chains that I never dared throw out because they're not sterling silver, but they're German silver, like exactly 825 parts silver to the 1,000 parts, right? Anyway, sterling is 0.925, so they're not quite the same purity, but good enough, still acceptable as silver. 50 of them into poinciana seed pods, and I got 2 ingots. Then I took apart an old broken power shell and sterling silver bracelet to see if I could make it into earrings. I was literally stretching my abilities at that point in time. It was cute. I was stretching, is that the right word? I was challenging myself is what I meant by that. I also varnished 2 copper cuffs that I had patinaed. A busy day, but a good day. I am exhausted, but content. Here's a photo of the little poinciana shapes I got when I poured the silver into the poinciana seed pod. That's what they came out looking like. I haven't done anything with them. They're quite heavy actually because they're solid 825 silver. Here's the photo of me having ripped apart my mother's old bracelet, and I was trying to fiddle with it and make something else out of it, and with limited success actually. I wasn't real happy with the end result, but I'm learning, people, I'm learning. So sometimes I'm not happy with the result, and sometimes I am. It just depends on how perfectionist I want to be in any given day. That's another thing I struggle with, my, at times, almost rabid perfectionism that is so overwhelming that I choose to do nothing rather than fail magnificently. That too has been a lifelong struggle and why I'm not employable. Titania's realm, living in the shadowlands of my own genius at times. 27th of March 2021. I had a lovely afternoon with the Anderson family and their beautiful dog Rosie, who's a golden retriever. Bobo loved seeing the little girls and even played much more nicely with Rosie. He played with one of Rosie's balls and had lots of fun. Evie and Susie both made me a lovely picture. I feel very much loved. So the story behind that is I wouldn't let Bobo anywhere near Rosie when she was still a young puppy, even though she was, almost as big as him or even slightly bigger than him. I didn't let him near her till she was about 1 year old because he could be quite snarly and vicious and bitey, and he liked beating up puppies because he himself got beaten up at the dog park here when he was a puppy, and that's what caused him to be a little bit more aggressive and savage at times, because he internalized that in his doggy mind as, I'll get you before you get me, right? Which I totally understand because that's how I am as a spirit. It's a trauma response, and my dog had fucking PTSD because that lovely dog park with all the savage dogs attacked him at one time. So in his little doggy mind, he thought it was his job that whenever he could smell or sense a younger dog in his presence, he would try to attack them. And it was awful, and I was forever trying to keep him away from that situation. And I didn't know how to train him out of that, so part of that is my own lack of ability to train dogs properly. I'm not really a very good dog owner, to be honest. That's why I always get little dogs. But Bobo had his own complex traumas and issues, and he was a doggy version of me with all my weird ways, and we loved each other. Nobody else could always tolerate us together, but we were bonded by our own conjoined spiritual soul symbiosis, little Beauregard and I. But anyway, he had a lovely time playing with Rosie, so it must have been by then she was over 1 year old when I actually would let them play together, because I could trust him then to not snap or be unreasonable with her, So Rosie's just such a sweet soul. She's just a typical Labrador Golden Retriever, just happy-go-lucky and joyful and bouncy and ebullient, and I didn't want that crushed out of her by having Bobo being an arsehole to her, you know. I wanted her kept in her happy Labrador state without being terrorised, as I used to call it. 27th of March 2020. Plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose. That's French for the more things change, the more they stay the same. Except when the Tanya explodes her consciousness in a new timeline. Baby steps. Miss 5, one of my other personas, has arrived in a world of chaos and ignominy. But no, so what else is new? We've got this. I've been blessed with good people who inspire and encourage me, and at times have had to pull me upright like the schlocky sloucher read Everything is Illuminated by Jonathan Safran Foer, and you'll know what my reference there is, and throw me back into the fray, fearlessly, flawlessly eradicating my blocks, my pearls, but not today. Today, I'm a bit tired, even in my blossoming. Love is an eternal cosmic art form. It takes time to reach its masterpiece. No, that is a lie. It can unfold in an instant, in unexpected, extreme circumstances, like a jack in the box, or a supernova creating itself out of a dying star. Look, see, hear the creation story of the becoming. The Tanya is late, as usual, to the party of consciousness, but her timing is divine and may just be on point after all. Who can comprehend the mind of God? The cruelty and the suffering, though the punishments were ennobling after all. So smile into the light. We got this. 27th of March 2019. It's been a rough few nights, indeed it has, even in this current space-time continuum, 2024. No sleeping, or rather sleeping in increments. By 3 a.m, after lying in bed since midnight feeling exhausted, I decided to put on a YouTube video to talk to my subconscious about an issue that has been much desired but evaded me most of my life. Love. That's 5 years ago now. 5 fucking years it's taken to manifest true love into my world in the most beautiful agape and at times romantic and sweet and endearing ways, to those flowing back to me with genuine heartfelt intentions, my beloved ones. You know who you are. I adore you, even though in the present moment in time I've kind of been riding a little bit shotgun and holding my reins tight because I don't want to lose my mind and my heart and my soul for something that's not going to be brought into actual 3D reality and fruition. Because I've been there, done that, got the trauma experiences after decades of oppression. So if you truly do love me, my beautiful man, who knows I'm speaking to him right now, if he watches my videos, but I'm putting it out there in the ether, you will understand my hesitancy and my anxiety and my nerves. Free will, no oppression, no suppression, no depression, no decompression. Free will of truest, greatest love, heartfelt and genuine, flowing between you and me in a beautiful, life-affirming, life-enhancing, heartfelt, heart-centered, authentic way, with deep honour and respect for each other, because nothing else matters than that. It really is that crucial. Everything hinges on that. I knew, if nothing else, the droning mantras of the male voice would lull me to sleep. It did, but after what seemed a relatively deep sleep, I awoke 2 hours later to the sound of a woman also intoning something. My brain registered the change and bloody woke me up. All good, I told myself. I put myself back to sleep as I was starting to feel a little mashugana, that means crazy, and sleep deprivation and the brain of a psychedelic dreamer are a dangerous concoction of mortal delights and decrepitude. In one brief moment of panic, I thought about getting dressed and running with my dog through the streets, but decided that was just silly, as it was raining and the roads would be slippery, and Bobo needs his rest too. But that's the fight and flight response when a trauma survivor like me will have this mad urge to just run or do something unexpected that's not our usual patterning and can seem a bit odd and out of character. And usually I tamp that down, as I did there, running around in the middle of the night in the streets. It's crazy. So I didn't do it. But the urge was there, the need to run was there, fight or flight mechanism was there. I handle my life very well now, don't I? Much better than I did up until 2016 when I finally weaned off all my psych meds. There's times when I'm not handling life, but I'm human. I'm allowed. I've been through a lot in life, so I truly do deserve all the manifestations that I keep grinding on about daily, nightly. I want my truly loving partner. I want my own version of success. I want my own prosperity. I want my own health to improve so I can get old graciously, if that's even possible, if the gods allow it, any of that. I want to see the sacred sites and physical incarnation, this bedraggled body. I want, and if none of it manifests for me, I'll have to accept it with great hubris and grace and resignation, and just keep fucking living each day to the best of my ability, and in the weekends, as long as my legs and feet hold this body up, keep dancing, if for no other reason than as a triumphant defiance against my own mortality and an edification for the gods. And if that scares people and makes them hate me and want to drive me out of venues as has happened in the past, so be it. Not my monkey, not my circus. My dance is not for you, ultimately. It's for me. And for, as I say, my gods. And if you witness it and it frightens you, I'm sorry, it's not my intention. And if it inspires you, if it ennobles you and encourages you to be your own best version in your own body, mind and spirit, and to celebrate your own wildness and your own freedom and your own carefree nature in Titania's realm or in your own realm, wherever you go in your head, my lovelies. Where do you go to, my lovely, when you're alone in your bed? Do you carry the thoughts that surround you? I want to look inside your head, yes I do. Be your own best version of yourself, but don't hate on me or be envious and spiteful towards me, because in so doing, you're throwing your own life force away on stupidity, because the Tanya remains free in her own body, mind and spirit, no matter what, no matter when, no matter how. And she goes with the flow, and she dances and perchances to draw in the love that was always meant to be hers, that she's been waiting for eons, and she holds it precious, her personal holy grail, the most beautiful gift for her, and in letting go and freedom for you all also. So I told myself to knock it off, this urge to want to run into the streets with my dog. Kind of wish I had now. My dog's dead. We missed out on magical, beautiful experiences together because of my own fears of being out in the night in danger, right? Reclaim the night, reclaim your rights, reclaim your light, women and men of earth. Be kind to each other. Create a safe world for all of us to exist in. One moment at a time. So I told myself to knock it off. Fell asleep only to waken again at 8 a.m. Ugh. I let the beau out to pee, crawled back into bed, passed out. Yay, I thought. Oh, I can sleep all day if I want to, until my debrief at 3 p.m. But the postie arrived just now with a package I had to sign for. I stared at her myopically in my dressing gown, wondering if the sky had fallen in the rain. She was scared of Beauregard and clambered awkwardly up my stairs. I was too woozy to go down to her, but sort of met her halfway. I returned to my bed, ripped open the package, then thought about going back to sleep, then realised it was almost 11 a.m. Gewalt. Mama T must join the world, sooner or later. Must she? If you don't feel well, Mama T, you don't have to fucking comply with anyone else's directives. Just be, Mama T. You have the luxury that you are in a space where you have a roof over your head and enough money to barely survive. So you can just be. Why apply all this pressure on yourself all the time? You tell the world on YouTube to be kind to each other. When are you going to be kind to you? Yesterday I had a better day emotionally, but my gut was still in colonoscopy mode. Oh, well, that explains why I felt so fucking ill and awful. Fuck me. All that aspartame they pump into that literally nearly kills me every time. Someone forgot to tell it, my gut. The crisis is over. So yeah, rather exhausting and laborious. The rising and shining, my darlings, might take some time until I recalibrate my gut-brain connections. Because they do communicate, your gut and your brain. The gut has its own gnosis. Very important, very, very important, secondary brain. But we've all been poisoned as a species, so we're not always coherent, we're not always synced up, which leads to mental illness, physical illness, and indeed, at times, soul illness. I'm a bit hungry. I'm going to have to go and get something to eat after this. Well, I haven't eaten today except for a piece of toast for breakfast this morning. I was going to go and do groceries after that semi-ordeal, but I came home like a homing pigeon because I knew I wouldn't feel well, and it is what it is, people. The groceries can happen tomorrow or later tonight if I perk up a bit later. The rising and shining, my darlings, might take some time until I recalibrate my gut-brain connections. My heart will go on, but my neshama is already floating in a distant paradigm. It means my soul had gone walkabout and left my body, right? Whistles it like a dog. Nup. Like the body she inhabits. Non-compliant. I like her just that way. She will come back when she is good and ready, while seamlessly dreaming in the place between this life and the other dimensions, swinging between the Sephirot. Sephirot are, in Kabbalah, are the various worlds between worlds, various, I don't know how exactly to describe it, the various stations on the way up to the Ein Sof and the Ein Sof Or, the dimensions leading up to, from our 3D reality up to what the Hindus call Nirvana, the eternal light, the highest dimension from where all creation comes from, the Creator, in effect. So I joke, it's an in-joke that I swing between the Sephirot. Like, some moments I might be in Keter, right up there in the highest dimension. Not consciously, people, not conscious of that. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm a holy person or anything like that. Just saying how the spirit will wander about. Other times I might stop at Tiferet, the Sephirot of beauty. Other times I might be in Chokhmah, wisdom, Bina. Other times I might be very well grounded down here on planet Earth, with my big hobbit feet planted on the ground. You'll often see me if you hang around me long enough and come to my home and are present with me in my home. I'm always barefoot in my home, and I'm always on lovely sunny days, not miserable days like today. You will see me sitting outside, cross-legged on the ground with my bird grounding. She haven't done that much lately, and I need to get back to grounding. That's probably why I'm all over the shit show here, in my spirit travelling all over the place. There's other ways of grounding, of course, but I like to ground on the actual ground, communicate with Mother Earth through my coccyx and tailbone, sitting with my ass on the earth, feeling maybe in my imagination that I'm in communication with the inner earth of our planet and healing myself that way. It's very potent, but I guess you have to kind of believe in it, otherwise it's meaningless hippie psychobabble to other people. But anyway, those of you who know what I'm talking about resonate, and those of you who don't know what I'm talking about think it's hippie psychobabble, and that's okay too. Don't have to agree with me. I'm not here to preach or convert or force anyone into my worldviews. I'm just saying this is how I cope with life, handle life, experience what's left of my life. It's beautiful, but it can look a bit odd sometimes to the uninitiated. Anyway, ha ha, she just slapped me up the side of the head, meaning my own spirit, and told me to stop being so fucking metaphysically melodramatic. If she weren't here as well as there, then who was driving this animus? The ghost in the machine? Isn't that interesting? I mentioned that earlier. The zombie? There is a long, long history of that, but I have taken back the wheel in my driving seat of my life, so that she knows right now. And although it's been speeding along the highway to hell, and the driver was, as usual, reckless and forayed into uncharted territory, we know that the angels throw down a rickety Jacob's ladder for me to ascend any time I want. I just prefer driving in my own divinity, on a road to nowhere, destinations of destiny. But oh, what fun! L'chaim. L'chaim means to life. Always pay honour and obeisance to life, because we're in these physical bodies, regardless of how we feel about it, and we are spirits having a human experience, not the other way around. So sometimes we have to be reminded of that when our bodies fall into disarray or break down or become diseased. We are not actually our body, but we have to integrate and live in harmonic resonance with our mind, body, spirit complex, so we can function fully and vibrantly and joyfully and as healthily as we can muster given our current paradigm. I signed that off. Copyright Tanya Desiree Aarons. All my writings are copyrighted, but the energy and the words are free as my spirit is. But don't plagiarise, because that's just crass, people. Write your own stories and your own musings, using your own words and self-expression or your own music. Don't be weak and pathetic and just shit down other people's necks and steal their energy out from under them. There's a word for that. It's called ignorance and psychic vampirism, by the way. Anyway, I signed it off. The sleepless berserker, formerly the somnolent zombie creature. It's true, I went from one extreme to the other, sleeping 20 hours a day, a veritable equivalent of a zombie, except I don't eat brains because I hate the taste of offal. But I was a zombie for about 20 years, maybe even 30 years. And now the paradigm shifted the other way, and I'm now the sleepless berserker, trying not to go berserk, people. I'm getting older and I'm mellowing. Trust me on that one. I'm mellowing. Might not look like it on occasion when you see me lose my temper over something really inappropriate or awful, but I am mellowing. Transformation into what? Only the Holy One knows. That was powerful writing, and when was that again? Let's go back. So tired, people. I'm going to crawl into bed again soon. 2019. Powerful writing right there and then. So you know what? I'm not always a universal schmuck, and I'm not always off with the pixies either. Sometimes, what did someone once deridingly and mockingly call me? Someone from my Jewish community too. This is how dishonouring and crass they are. But someone once called me a bizarre genius, and it was meant to be, nasty, and probably equivalent of calling me intellectually handicapped or a misfit or a freak, or I'm sure there was some nasty edge to that. But I incorporated, I said, oh yes, how wonderful. I am indeed the most bizarre of geniuses. So I choose to take that as a fucking compliment. So to my detractors and my haters out there, fuck you. I'll be a bizarre genius for as long as I live, and I'll enjoy it. Like my evil, perverted sister once said to me back in the day when I was heavily impaired and handicapped and affected by all the psych meds, sneeringly looked at me and said, oh, a mind's a terrible thing to waste, to put me down as though I was just a vegetable, right? Vicious it was, given how unwell I was and how deeply traumatised and having to function on heavy psych meds just to get through each day. But that's how she mocked and derided me. Well, bitches, Mama T is back in her own mind, body and spirit. So, throw your shade at me now, bitches, because I know exactly who and what you are. I've superssumed you, motherfuckers. But love is the law, and I have beautiful people surrounding me at this point in time in my life. Like gifts from the gods they are given. I'm struggling with my bladder and struggling to recalibrate and struggling to pull myself together enough so I can achieve all the things I always wanted, even back then when I was a veritable zombie but was denied me by the most supreme of evil. So bear with me as I return again and again on the same groove, spiralling up and evolving bigger and brighter and more brilliantly and more bizarrely than ever before, like the bizarre genius I truly am. But I have love in my life, and I am loving. And those of you who've received my wholehearted, authentic, genuine love with grace and kindness and have absorbed it and been able to reflect it back to me in a beautiful way, interconnectivity, deep respect and honour, I bless you and I thank you. And to those other entities, low-level entities who are spiteful and envious and vicious and callow and sadistic and cold and cruel and fucking empty, fuck off. You brought nothing to my life but suffering, pain and agony and almost the equivalent of being emotionally tortured on a daily basis. I'm done. I'm done with you, with your kind. Completely done. So yes, the Tanya exists in her own little Titania's realm now, gifted to her literally by the gods and the fairy realms. So yes, I don't always exist like an ordinary mortal NPC. Non-playing character, creature with no soul. My soul is, it's hard to gauge because I'm not God, but I would hazard a guess my soul is roughly 75% intact. It's been a fair bit of soul loss over the years because there were things that happened to me that even I'm not fucking proud of. I'm not perfect. Had to fight my way back from the brink of my own immolation, people. But 75% of my soul, I'm not empty, I'm not vapid, and I'm not vicious and cruel unless it requires that in that point in time, because for mere basic survival, people, because I'm also not a victim but a warrior goddess. 27th of March 2018. Passover starts on 30th of March that year. I'm trying to work out when it is this year. I'll have to Google it later. We've just had Purim, so it's probably a month away. That snuck up on me quick. Ah well, Lila Tov, good night. I will finish watching Spotlight about child abuse in Boston in the Catholic Church tomorrow. Too ill and too tired to keep focus. Yes, as a survivor of child sexual abuse, that was my advocacy back in the day. And I still fight against that to this day. Here I write, must have been later on that evening, watching Spotlight, painful and harrowing. Oh, must have been earlier, because I said I'll finish watching it tomorrow. It was too triggering for me. Anyway, 27th of March 2016. Ugh, my glands are up and my lymph nodes under my armpits. Little stabbing pains. I need to rest more. Ugh, getting spasms up higher now. I wonder what that's about. They didn't tell me that I had to worry about pain higher up. I better drink some more water. I need to rest more. I'm still recovering from the epic bronchitis. Here I write, trigger warning, because I'm going on about my rotten family again, probably in response to a meme I've posted. Yes, it was an article on the secret language of narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths, how abusers manipulate and gaslight and blah, 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 the whole kit and caboodle, the whole shebang, the whole evil of our current modern society, right? Where narcissism and psychopathology has become very commonplace indeed, when once upon a time it used to be a rarity and so rare that it hardly impacted on anyone's fucking day. But here I write, my mother, my sister, my ex-husband, and many more former friends. I was slammed with it, and also teachers in the school system. I was slammed with it every fucking which way. I was a psychopath, narcopath, Machiavellian, sociopath, fucking magnet. It took decades to get free of them all. It took their deaths to get free of my family of origin ones. Thanks for the complex PTSD You bastards. I survived you all. I am one hell of a strong, beautiful, wonderful woman, and it is your loss that you tried to destroy me so completely. I rise and shine again and again and again. You will never win. I mean, they took my money and my homes, and they turned my children against me. They managed to fuck up quite a few love relationships. They managed to damage me so much that I was still attracting toxic people into my life for quite some time. But you will never win. Never. My life is going to be beautiful very, very soon. The signs are here that it's coming very, very soon. It's already beautiful because I've made it so by sheer will and determination alone. Here I write, you took my money, my happiness, my sense of purpose, my safety, my loving family, destroyed my business, my home, my one-time success, eroded my confidence, and turned me into a zombie for over 30 years. You sabotaged me when I was at school, university, work, in my own business, and through my daughters, which cost me the love and respect of my youngest, another sociopath who happily accepted the mantle after my narcopath mother died. It's called the skip generation, people. It's a real phenomenon. Lived through that too. You sabotaged my love affairs and friendships. It took my mother's death to finally be free. Then that freedom was stolen for another 2.5 years with her wicked, soul-destroying, lying will. My blood still runs cold and coagulates like clay around my heart. 6 years later, and I am still finding my feet. Still at almost 51, struggling for a happy, comfortable, love-filled life. Still trying very hard not to kill myself and to celebrate my life and my freedom and live my purpose, which is to guide others out of the abyss, one heart light at a time, in my rather bizarre, genius, unusual ways, like whirling dervishing, tribal moshing on the weekends, which spends all my energetic resources and leaves me sometimes in this state, just a little bit, feeling a little bit raw and emotional and on the edge of, well, I'm not going crazy, but just on the edge of a little bit on the border of something I can't quite define. And I'm not a borderline either, although probably some doctors might argue about that. I am glad of the backhanded gifts you gave me. Strength, power, determination, a lust for life. Pardon me, sorry. Life, chocolate, my animals, nature, a sprinkling of magic to keep my soul soaring inside a beaten, broken, dysmorphic body. A short, fat hobbit woman, but wise, beautiful, stoic. And I will add to that, loving as well. She who loves too much at times, at her own personal risk. Something I've had to evolve from too, which is why I rein it in a bit, so as not to frighten those who've never experienced a love as powerful as mine before, and so they think I'm some kind of freak and abuse me by the way. Well, that's on those entities, isn't it? You know who you are. I could name you, but I'm letting it go. You have nothing to contribute to my life anymore. You are done. Those of you that were vicious and cruel when all I did was pour love into you in the past. My soul contracts with you are long past, done. And I'm opening up in truest, deepest, most magical and awesome love, only for those who demonstrate by their words, deeds, intentions, actions, energy, that they are worthy of my heart, body, mind and spirit and soul, because we're sharing that love between us equally, honouringly, with genuine heartfelt care. As my friend said to me the other night, I'm so proud of you for continuously moving on. Well, I appreciate that, but there comes a time when I don't want to be moved on, where I want to be held and cuddled and adored and kept precious, where I'm welcome, where I am home, where I can stay without feeling that I'm not safe, or I may have to chew my own arm off again to get my freedom. I don't want to live the rest of my life like that. I'm getting old. I might be able to, with this medication, get well again, reasonably well, and have more emotional, mental, physical, spiritual resources. But I don't want to keep moving on. I don't want to get old, alone, in misery and grief and trauma. I want to be with the man who loves me truly and deeply and sincerely and authentically and loyally and faithfully and genuine care for me as a woman and as a spirit and a soul. That's what I'm wanting. That's what I've always wanted. But yes, if things turn ugly, become evil and toxic and sadistic and cruel, yes, my darling, I have the power to move on. But I don't want to live in a perpetual fucking train wreck, not actually of my own making, because those were never my intentions when I fell in love with you men. My intentions always begin beautifully and sweetly and honourably. So the men in my past who took great delight in destroying me as a woman and destroying my spirit, that's on them. We have choices in how we conduct ourselves in our relationships. We have choices to treat people with decency and kindness and genuine love, honour and integrity. "3:53 p.m. Just woke up. I have a sore left hand because an aggressive jerk danced with me last night and spun me around but twisted my hand, for which I walked off after telling him to settle, petal. Horrible creature with moves." I remember that actually. It was fucking horrible. It was straight out of a fucking horror movie. Is there any wonder why I'm not compromising when I'm wanting a love partner that he has to be a kind and noble and decent man who adores me? Is there any wonder why I won't compromise on that? Why I dream big and sometimes have to rein myself in a bit because I realise it's not always realistic sometimes. Why I value my true loving friendships with my men friends who treat me with sweetness and kindness. Some fucking freak comes to the casino and tries to break my hand. Passive aggressive abuser is what he was. It was deliberate, wasn't accidental. Fucking arsehole. This is what happens when you're out in public in their world, NPC world. They get drunk and think they can throw women around the dance floor, which is why I rarely ever dance with men, but prefer to dance freestyle. Ugh, just horrible. Anyway, time to get up and have food and drink and play with Beauregard. Just going to get Charlie actually because she's been on her own all day and I feel guilty. I'll be back one moment. While I'm out there, I'll get a drink of water. So stick with me, people of Earth. That was a massive one. Wouldn't you want to go through that massive food because to save it for Mama? That was huge, Charlie. We'll clean it up later. I'm in the middle of something here, Charlie. But that was impressive. You must have been holding on to that for hours, saving it for Mum. You're a strange little bird. Here we are again. Sorry about the interruption. 4:51 a.m. Home from dancing. I am exhausted and my blisters have blisters on my feet, but I had fun. Beauregard was happy to have his mama home He is gnawing on a bone. She's happy now. I have thrown myself into bed without even taking off my makeup, which I will have to do before I sleep, pardon me, or I will wake up with pimples. Oh dear goddess. The French Moroccan man kept coming over to me to dance. I remember him. His name was Richard. Very nice man, but also a bit freaking too intense for my liking. Oh, another one. Oh my goodness, where did that go? Oh, Charlie, I can't keep up with all this at the moment. He seems keen, but really he is a player. I had him worked out. I had him at hello, actually. I had him at bonjour. You have to giggle sometimes. It's sweet. Where did I say it? But really is a player, in brackets, aren't they all? But we speak to each other in my limited French, which is good practice for me after not speaking or studying it for 33 years. He also speaks German to me when I forget words in French, which is rather odd but cute. I am not sure why he does this, since we both speak perfect English. Tonight he flirted by saying in French that we were creating memories in his dreams, but anyway. Yeah, righto, I smell a rat. But being flirted with in French is a tad amusing, especially when I can say, I don't understand. Ha ha ha. When in doubt, je ne comprends pas. Je ne comprends pas, monsieur. I know nothing. If you ever see me playing dumb like that, there's a reason for it, people. Someone's creeping me out, and I'm choosing in that moment to play very, very dumb. In other words, being non-compliant. Joe, you put on my dress that, and I see my bra. Oh, well, at least I'm wearing a bra. Some days I don't bother. A bientôt, monsieur. I have got your modus operandi. He is sweet, really, for a player. He once threw a tantrum in front of me, said, I don't know why you don't want me. I'm a professor at the university. I speak French, German, I think he said Spanish and Italian as well, fluently. He said, and I have a beautiful home with beautiful cats, and you could be part of my world, and why don't you want me? Well, as I said, I found him interesting and I enjoyed trying to communicate with him, but he was just too bloody needy and controlling, so it was creeping me the fuck out. And there but for the grace went I. He might have been the one. But I don't think so. If a man creeps me out, he's not the one, darlings. But he took it quite personally.